heard reports about how businesses and hospitals are starting to fire employees who refuse to be vaccinated against COVID-19. What could that mean for the already tight labor market? Insight from Paul Seegert, managing partner at PCS Advisers. Paul, your take.
Well, we're seeing that the presidential mandate has prompted many more employers to take more aggressive steps. Just today, United Airlines, as an example, released the news that they'll be firing 593 workers who've chosen not to get vaccinated. And to me, a little bit more interesting is the stance they've taken on those who had a religious exemption. They're putting them on unpaid leave. It was supposed to go into effect 10/1, but so essentially firing them as well. But it's in the courts now and getting pushed till 10/15. But we're seeing that in lots of industries, healthcare being one of the biggest.
Yeah. Do front-facing, say, healthcare workers or their employers at least have a stronger leg to stand on with this?
Well, there's some good challenges that are being made, or I think some challenges that have grounds that we're watching in the courts, where some of these workers are saying, I was exposed, I caught COVID, I have natural immunity, and I can prove it through antibody testing or T-cell testing. And there is some precedent in the healthcare industry. You are required to get certain vaccines, as an example, to work in hospitals, but lots of states' rules will allow you to forego those vaccines if you can show that you have natural antibodies from getting and recovering from the illness itself. So in some cases, it may actually be a weaker position for them. We'll see how it plays out in the courts.
Wow. All right, so as part of all this, here we have, say, hospital systems letting some of its workers go, whether they're nurses or whatever, and we're already in a worker shortage situation. So what could all this mean if we're already starting to, say, postpone elective surgeries?
Yeah, they had a shortage before the pandemic, definitely a shortage of nursing and other skilled staff in healthcare facilities. And what we're seeing is that there are already some hospitals, especially in more rural areas, which tend to be the hardest hit in general. They are closing some services. There are some hospitals in New York, as an example, in upstate New York, that have discontinued labor and delivery services for the foreseeable future. And in some cases, they're the only hospital in that county or within a reasonable drive. So it's having a definite impact. And there were some healthcare employers, Kettering Health in Ohio as an example, that were being creative in their mandate, allowing for natural immunity to be an allowable exception. And then with the kind of the national mandate that's coming down, some of that has gone away, unfortunately.
We're speaking with Paul Seegert, managing partner at PCS Advisers. We're talking about how bad the worker shortage could get, since we're seeing some employers now terminate employees for not complying with vaccine mandates. I presume some of these workers are rolling the dice, say, if you're a nurse, knowing that there are shortages elsewhere, you might leave employer A and feel confident you could land a gig with employer B?
Well, that's true. And it's, again, hitting those rural areas more than the urban areas where there's more workforce available. If you went back 2 years ago, a traveling nurse, as an example, would get paid $1,900 a week. That's up to $3,500 a week with a $20,000 signing bonus. So they know they can leave and, as you say, get hired elsewhere, whether it's a smaller employer, whether they become a traveling nurse or just a different employer in general or a different market.
Yeah. What could that mean for patients here?
Well, they are sounding the alarm because there was already unsafe staffing levels in many facilities, and that's why it's leading to shutting down some offerings at some of these facilities. When polled, 28% of employees tell us that they will lose their job over the vaccine. So it's not a small number of people that we're seeing fit into this category, and it's pretty shocking, really, that we still don't have widespread allowance or open conversation about the fact that these mandates don't allow for natural immunity.
Thanks, Paul. Paul Seegert, managing partner at PCS Advisers.